These 5 Roblox games used to be huge, pulling millions of players in, but now they're dead. So I'm playing these 5 games to see why they fell off. Also, subscribe if you want, it's free. Let's get to 6K, and let's begin. First up, we have Break and Story, and I used to play this a lot as a kid. When I found the first Break and Story game, I played it all the time and every day, and I tried to beat the game a lot, man. Eventually, I did. But when I heard Break and Story 2 was coming out, I was genuinely hyped. In my opinion, I will say I enjoyed Break and Story 1 more than the second one still to this day, but the reason for both of these games dying was simple. Like a lot of the other OG games, it was repetitive. Every time you played the game, not just the first Break and Story game, but the second one as well, it was the exact same. I mean, yeah, you will join the game to see if you can survive till the end, but eventually you'll find something else that is much more fun. The Break and Story also wasn't really that difficult. I haven't played the game in over 2 or 3 years, and recently I hopped on both the first and the second one, and I beat it first try. I will say the final boss battle was much more enjoyable in the first game. I can tell the creator tried to make the final battle much more difficult in Break and Story 2, but it just ended up being more easier in my opinion than the first one. But to be fair, Break and Story 1 came out in 2019 and it still reaches 2,000 players on a daily basis, so it definitely did fall off. It's not a surprise because the game is pretty old, so I don't expect it to reach super crazy numbers. Next up, we got Doors. Now, Doors has a bit of a similar situation to Break and Story and Block Streets. Doors has been releasing a few major updates every now and then, and it's not consistent. It's been over 2 years since Floor 2 came out, and ever since then, people have been waiting for Floor 3. And in my opinion, my biggest reason is the direction that Doors was going in. If you compare the gameplay between Floor 1 and Floor 2, it is completely different. The hotel is still scary, but it's a little bit more chill to play. You can sit back and just enjoy the game. But Floor 2, on the other hand, is way more difficult. The whole time, you have to be like sit up, focus. You can't relax that much. It's way more difficult. Now, I know that the more levels of a game come out, it's gonna be way more difficult, but the difficulty Floor 2 has is something that Floor 3 or maybe even Floor 4 should have if they continue that much. But Floor 2 shouldn't have a difficulty like that. The content update with the whole modifiers and everything definitely made the game a bit more fresh and active again, but we're still waiting for that Floor 3 update, and I really hope it can come out this year. Up next is Piggy. Now this has 2 different reasons of its death. First of all, there are 24 chapters of Piggy in total, including book 1 and 2, but both have again the same reason. It's repetitive and it has the same basic gameplay loop. The second reason is that Piggy is similar to the door situation I talked about. The complexity between book 1 and book 2, initially when book 2 came out, it had a lower population, because it had way more of a complex story that lost the initial simple appeal for many players. In book 1, there were keys, codes, mallet, and keycards. It was pretty simple. But in book 2, there were way too many items. And book 2 is often criticized for shifting away from the original simple infector story towards a confusing and more of a paranormal theme with a consistent objective. So too many plot changes and complexity killed off book 2, but the repetitiveness is what killed off Piggy in total. After this is Forsaken. Now, Forsaken's decrease in popularity has a lot to do with the Roblox chat update and Die of Death. The chat system killed off all communication with the people in the lobby, which whenever I used to play before that update, a lot of people in any lobby I joined used the chat a ton. And the new Die of Death game drew most players away from Forsaken for a new fresh taste in a similar concept. Now for Forsaken itself, the game itself is still fun. It's not as dead as the other games on the list, but I did stop playing it because I got tired of the same concept. I think just like Doors added modifiers, Forsaken should probably add modifiers as well. I feel like the idea of infection or just there being more than one killer really interests me for some reason, and it will definitely make the game much more enjoyable. But overall, it has decreased in popularity. These reasons don't really have anything to do with Forsaken's fault, but it's more of the chat system's fault due to killing off a lot of communication and the one tool that a lot of people use to communicate with other players. And finally, we have Grow a Garden. Now this game was the biggest game of 2024 on Roblox. Like this game literally had more players active at once than Fortnite did. But everyone knew eventually that this game would die. And not gonna lie, in my opinion, it happened a little bit earlier than I expected, mostly due to how complex the updates got. The events when I started playing were super simple, like the Busy Bee and the Summer Harvest and the Beanstalk update were my favorite, and they were super simple to follow. But eventually these events got a lot more complex, like the Very event. And the game also got a little complicated that they added a whole guide, but the funny thing is that the guide itself is also complicated. And the shift from focusing on plants and gardens to pets was really weird, and I was not a huge fan of that either. Eventually, all the updates were about adding a new pet. This game had a ton of impact on Roblox itself. Like, the idea of admin abuse became a popular thing because of Grow a Garden. After they started doing it, a ton of games like 50 operator, 999 in the 4-star do you get as well. But this game overall was legendary, but sadly, I don't really see myself playing this game as much as I used to. Ever again.